Good evening and welcome to the 848th meeting, Tuesday, April 18th. Our first in-person meeting in over a year. Welcome back. Nice to see everybody. If you wish to be heard at the meeting, please sign the speakers list that are now on my desk. The chairman reserves the right to limit the amount of time each speaker has for each agenda item. Qualifications of the members of the commission, the staff of the commission, and any consultants used are on file with the city and are hereby made a part of each and every application heard today. The guidelines and procedures adopted by the commission are also made a part of each and every application. Each application heard today is considered on its own merit and is not to be considered as establishing precedents for any other application. Madam Secretary, would you call the roll?
Mr. Colquhoun?
Here.
Councilmember Cole?
Here.
Ms. McSeany? Here. Ms. Lubinecki? Here. Ms. Frazier?
Here.
Mr. Davis? Mr. Schweitzer?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. First, before we get started, I would like to take a moment and thank our director, Robert Love, for his guidance through the HDC during this COVID period and helping us with our meetings and everything else, all the questions we had. And doing that, I would also like to welcome Monte as the deputy director, and he'll be guiding the HDC, him and Brooke. So welcome aboard. Open discussion for the meeting for the March 8th regular meeting. Any questions or comments?
I move we approve the minutes for the HDC meeting from March 8, 2022. I second that.
Okay, I have a motion by Ms. McSeany and a second by Ms. Frazier to approve the minutes as presented. Would you please call the roll?
Ms. McSeany?
Yes.
Ms. Frazier?
Yes.
Councilmember Cole?
Yes.
Ms. Lubinecki?
Yes.
Mr. Schweitzer?
Yes.
Mr. Colquhoun?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you. Okay. The first agenda item is HDC 2022-0099 for 25 Post Office Avenue, submitted by Legends. Who would be presenting, Mr. Wong or Legend? Okay, would you like to come to the podium and state your name for the record? Yes, sir.
My name is Richard Wen. Dear Chairman and committee members, very much for previous meetings' help. So I should just present the case. All right, so for this meeting, HDC 2022-0099 for 25 Post Office Avenue, submitted by Legends Group. The applicant is proposing to remove the existing detached garage on the property. The garage is unused, really dilapidated, and measures approximately 20 by 32 feet. The applicant is proposing to remove the existing large Black Walnut tree on the property with the intention of subdividing the 25 Post Office Avenue lot into 2 lots in the near future. Applicant says that the new lot to be created after subdividing would be unsuitable for construction with the Black Walnut tree remaining in place. Thank you.
Okay, so the gist of it, you want to demolish the shed.
Yes.
It's dilapidated.
Mm-hmm.
But you also want to remove a large tree on your property.
Yes.
Okay. And that's so you can subdivide that
Yeah, the
build.
tree is in the middle of the lot.
Uh-huh.
So in order to build any single family house
Mhm.
or other like a duplex, has to be removed.
Right.
Uh,
But you understand what you got there on that. It's not just any old.
I met Mr. Love and other two tree specialists, and he told me it's a pretty large tree, about 200 years old, and it's kind of healthy. I see like 1/3 of the tree skin was peeled off. The arborist said it's okay, will cure itself in a couple hundred years, and very old tree. But it's not a champion tree. It's like there's within the city area. There's several larger tree of same kind species in the city area. So this does not make it a champion tree. And I see the tree. There's one huge branch leading all the way to the bank side on the south side. That branch could fall down and hurt some people or the side fence. And the tree roots are going everywhere, including to the far middle small street. Could damage future, septic, sewing system or plumbing or some other damage, some other structures underground. That's why if it's a nice tree, I would like to keep it. But I see in the future, in like 5-10 years, it may cause problems anyways. And with the new proposal from Legends Group, is if they demo the tree and grow out and build a new small new house there and plants a lot of trees, and will make the area very beautiful. And I think that benefits to the small street or the neighbors.
Okay. Before I ask the other commissioners if they have any comments or questions, I just want to make a statement here. Basically, this commission is here to determine the following. If the tree removal is a major landscape design or configuration. And if that question is yes, then we have to determine, based on the arborist evaluation, is the tree a significant contributor to the historic district, or would the removal of the tree seriously impair the historic archaeological or architectural significance of the surrounding property? So that's our main concern as a commission here.
Understand.
So with that being said, any questions or comments for the applicant? Okay.
I wondered if, in looking at ways to develop the property, you had entertained any other options, such as donating it to become a park, or looking at a different development scenario with one home on the property that would allow the tree to remain.
The second option is not possible because the tree is right in the middle of the lot. The first option about donating to at the park, I'm not sure how does that work. If it could be a solution, but I'm not. This is new to me, so I have no idea
Well,
how
it's
does
just-
that work.
You've been working on the house next door, right?
Yes.
And would the property available with sold it as one?
Yes, with the lot. There's two lots, right? The house sitting on one lot, and then the tree sitting on the other lot. Right now, the two lots are one tax ID.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. If I sell the whole two lots to one person, that's one option. That's of course one option. The other option is if the buyer wants to just buy the house without the lot. I mean, the larger lot, one, it makes it more expensive, and second, it needs maintenance with the huge shed on it, a lot of work to maintain. So I'm not sure the buyer would prefer to buy just this house with a middle-sized lot, or want to spend the extra money to buy that extra lot to maintain.
What's the total acreage?
The worst,
Say what?
the total leakage.
To the whole parcel, the lot and the house.
Uh-huh.
How much of an acre?
Oh, how much an acre? I believe it's about 15,000. So each lot is about 7,000, 8,000, something like that. Yeah, about 9,000 each lot. So the total lot would be both lots together like 15,000.
15,000 square feet
Yeah.
for just a lot, not
I have to check. I'm not quite good at numbers. I remember that.
not including the house. Not including,
We're talking about the lot area, right? I believe it's like 140 by 110.
mhm.
140 by 110. Let me see how much square feet is that. One 140 by 110. 15. Yeah, I'm right. 15,000.
Yes,
Which
Mr.
one?
Chair.
Yes.
SDAT has as 15,400 square feet.
Okay. So you're still want to subdivide it, you want to tear it down. You don't have any plans to donate it as was requested by Ms. Lubinek?
Right. As right now, I don't have any plan to
Okay.
donate it. You mean to the city or to the county or?
Um,
Well, it would be to the city. I mean, it's such a nice parcel that would make an adjunct to the park. There's no.
So
That
if
was-
I donate, that means it's free or the city will pay something?
I'm sorry.
I don't think this.
Well, donating would be free to the city, but you would probably get some kind of tax credit deduction for your
Okay.
donation.
Okay, that answers my question.
Sure. I have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
In your application, you had mentioned that you would be planting more trees. Do you have information about how many trees you would be planting if the tree were removed?
Yes, actually, Legends Group present a package of with the lot and how many trees. Like the green dot is all the new trees we're going to plant.
Yeah. It was 2
Right.
pin oaks, I believe, and 2 magnolias.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, all the black circle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Oh, so they're going to plant trees on the other parcels as well? Or just the one they're purchasing?
So right now, look at this. We have 3 lots. So
Yes.
that also the bottom 2 lots are 25 Post Office Avenue. The
Uh-huh.
top lot is 23 Post Office
Yes.
Avenue. So I also own that. So I'm going to plant trees there also. That's
Okay.
as a as many spaces as between me and Legend Group we have. I want to plant as much trees as possible.
I'm counting 8 trees on the plan. Do you know how large those trees will be?
The 3 oak trees will be pretty large.
I mean, at the size of installation. Not mature size, at the size when you put them in the ground, how big would they be
initially, right?
initially?
That one, I don't have the detail, but
Okay.
we would love to, work with the city and plant as large as possible if necessary.
Are you familiar with the code that we have for champion trees? I know this isn't a champion tree, but are you familiar with the code that we have for champion trees that recommends the size of trees that should be replaced?
I'm not familiar with that, but
Okay.
I'm open to any suggestions.
I can work with staff to get that to you just in case.
Sure, thank you. Yes, Jim.
That's all I have.
If there's no other comments,
Well, I just have a question. This is really, right now, it's Mr. Yang, you own the property, and so whatever we decide today is really applying to Mr. Yang, but there's not a lot of requirement. If you sell the property and subdivided, what incentive is there or requirement that the subsequent owner would follow any installation of trees? I mean, you're not going to be planting the trees right after you take the if you
I will make sure we plant the trees if it's approved.
So are you selling the parcel of land to Legends, or is Legends just going to build the house?
We have the options. Right now, we have a contract for them to purchase, or we can work together to the end.
Okay.
So right now, we don't have the final contract yet. It's just an intention. to work
Okay.
together. Yes.
What we would be able to do is anything, if it was agreed that the tree could come down and you condition that, we would condition that with any building, exactly what they would have to plant, so forth. We would actually put that physically on the condition of the any permits.
Okay.
One other question. You said that there were other black walnuts in the area that were larger.
Yes.
Where are they?
I have no idea where is it, but the arborist who the other day, like 2 months ago, me and Rob met, he told us there's several other larger black walnut tree of the same species is within the city area. It's not even PG County, it's within the city area. But I didn't ask him where it is, or so I don't know the answer.
Let me clarify that. He thought there might be. He was thinking there might be one down by Riverfront Park. He did say within the county, there's definitely larger ones, some twice as big within PG County. Within the city, he wasn't too sure. He was kind of going off. He's worked in the city 15, 20 years, so he was kind of remembering. The fact that he was remembering the one, I was kind of impressed with. But he was thinking there might be one by Riverfront Park. But other than that, it was.
I don't think
I could not confirm or deny whether it was the largest
And
within the
something-
city.
but no champion black walnut.
No, there's no champion black walnut within the city, but there are 3 within the county.
Now, within the city, doesn't a champion tree have to be on city property?
I don't think so.
A champion tree just has to be within the city limits. It doesn't have to be on city property. A county tree could also be within the city, but there are none right now.
If there's no other questions or comments, I'd ask the applicant, before we make a motion, I've got a speaker list here, and I just want to give some folks time to weigh in on
Sure, thank you.
their opinion. So if you could have a seat for a moment, and
Thank you all.
yes, sir. Okay. Again, I'll limit the amount of time. Looks like we have quite a few people signed up to speak. If Jonathan Height would like to come to the podium. Okay, and it's just pertaining to this application for the Black Walnut. Okay. If you're signed up on the list and it's not pertaining to the Black Walnut, just let me know.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
I have some points of information. The lot currently, the property rather, 25 Post Office Avenue, consists of 2 lots according to the Maryland Department of Assessments and Taxation. Is the subdivision that Mr. Wong is discussing limited to those 2 lots, or does he intend to subdivide lot 4, which is the lot the Walnut is on.
I'm assuming that those two lots, he was going to build a duplex on there. That's correct.
Yeah, it pertains
Those
to
are
lot
the
4.
only, those would be the only two lots of the subdivision.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's my only point of information, and I would just like to say that that tree is older than the city of Laurel. It pre-exists both of the mills that were on that river and the railroad. It is a witness tree, and it would be, I think, anti-historic for it to come down. And that's my.
Okay, thank you. Next person who signed up, Dave Ever.
Good evening. I'm a member of the tree board in Laurel and also president of the board for Laurel for the Patuxent. So, I've spent a fair bit of time thinking about trees and looking at trees. Our organization planted 150 trees in the city last year. I've admired walking by that tree for a while, but I did some research. I looked at the Maryland tree list, and there is one tree in Prince George's County that's bigger than that. So, it's not the champion tree in Prince George's County because it's not the biggest one on the list. It is, the arborist said on the order of 240 years old. I came up with a number somewhere between 210 and 240 years old. So look at that lot. Why is there not a house on that lot? Well, the house on 25 was built in 1930. That walnut tree was already 100 years old. That's why there's not a house already on it. It's just part of the history. And if we're really a Tree City USA city, the other side of it is, it is an expense. We're taken from the value of Mr. Wang's property by saying he can't take that tree. The balance of that is the value to the rest of the city, the rest of the properties on that street, and the community and the environment and impact as the environment. And that's, really kind of what, the whole purpose of the historic is to think about, what's the value of, this historic thing versus, the cost to the property owner. In this case, it is, maybe a big impact, but, it's also a huge tree. So.
Okay, thank you. Next speaker, Ms. Cheryl Dyer.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you. Not too long ago, I walked up Post Office Avenue, and I was delighted to see that 2 formerly derelict houses had been saved and rehabbed. I was even more delighted to see that the giant, majestic black walnut tree had been saved. I brought people to see that tree because it's so magnificent. Then I heard that the tree was in danger of being felled for development. So I alerted Laurel for the Patuxent. We got a petition up. I think you all have copies of it. 90 people signed it. And I did try to contact both Mr. Wong and Legends, but was unable to speak with them about working with them to save the tree and still find a way to resolve it. Last September, you may know, we planted 150 trees in Laurel to celebrate the city's 150th anniversary. All those trees together don't begin to do what this one singular tree does. here's what it's doing. The black walnut is a native shade tree. It reduces the urban heat island, causing you to use less air conditioning. It captures carbon, by my reckoning, over 100 pounds a year. It provides food for humans and small mammals. It hosts 40 species of moths and insects. This is vital to our ecology. I think we owe this tree our respect for its long life. It was here long before the founders of Laurel decided to form a city, build a mill. Maybe there were Native Americans who lived here and sat under its shade, ate the nuts, and appreciated it. This glorious living creature, the oldest living thing in Laurel, has stood in its place, offering its beauty for 2 centuries. Who are we to say its long life should now end? I am grateful to this tree for its existence. I hope it will continue to exist for another century, providing shelter and solace to all of Laurel, especially the people who appreciate it every day, as I do. Thank you.
Next speaker, Heidi S. Weber.
I am a member of Laurel for Patuxent, and I'm also a teacher at Laurel Elementary School, substitute teacher. I spend a lot of time with kids, and we have a planet that's in trouble. I think we all know it. When I think about the kids at school, I think about what the world is going to be like for them. I think about, will there be monarch butterflies? Will there be trees? How much of what we have now will be gone when they are adults? That tree, the black walnut tree on Post Office Avenue, was there before any of us. It was there before any of our parents. It was there before any of our grandparents, and probably there before any of our great-grandparents. It has a memory of life before we started knocking everything down, covering it with concrete, and making it so that our planet is in trouble. I think at some point we have to decide that a tree is as valuable or more valuable than money that goes into someone's pocket because they want to put up another building. I realize I'm speaking from emotion. To me, it's a very emotional topic. When do we decide in favor of the gifts that we've been given in our community and in our world? I would like us to start deciding that now. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker will be Patricia Hunt. Are you speaking for different? Tony Poltz. Mr. Balot. Bill, you speaking for the Black Walnut Tree? Signed up from the speaker list? No? Okay. And then Holly Hogla. Okay. And the last speaker, I apologize, you live at 336 Prince George Street? Yes, sir. I'm sorry, you want to state your name?
Brian Coyle.
Brian, okay.
Thank you. I'm an ecologist. I'm a co-founder of Laurel for Patuxent. I live on PG County, and I just a number of things to say about this tree. But with respect to the champion tree definition, so in the Land Development Code, Section 2041(2), champion tree is defined as means the largest tree of its species within the nation, state, county, municipality. So it defines 4 scale at which a champion tree can be defined. And despite what anecdotally was suggested that this is not the largest black walnut in the city. I think it probably is. So, I mean, until we are able to find one that's larger, we have to consider this to be the largest one within the city. And so, by this definition, I think that's the only way that you can interpret it, that a champion tree has to be designated on each of those scales. Otherwise, you wouldn't mention nation, because there would only be one champion tree for any species across the whole United States, right? And then, it's a matter of not just environmental preservation, but also cultural, historic preservation, and our heritage. I mean, it's a historic district, and so this tree connects us to our history, and it has a lot of history that goes with it. And so I think that's an important part of the value and why people live here, why people want to live here, for that heritage value. So it's just a really important, architectural element in that sense, the community. And it's symbolic of, many pressures that are facing society everywhere, that development is increasing. And so for us to be able to preserve this and show that we value these kind of trees, that we value this, this asset in our neighborhood, I think says a lot, not only about our community, but to the state and beyond that, especially now that the Maryland General Assembly passed recently the Tree Solutions Now Act, where they aim to plant 5 million trees by 2030, right? So that's a priority for our state. And so for us to cut down this giant tree, while at the same time our state and all our legislators are saying, we need to have more trees for a variety of reasons. I think, there's a conflict there. And the Legend Group has said that their concerns are about public safety and infrastructure. We were told that he's concerned that in 5 to 10 years, this might be a problem because of a branch or because of the root. That tree's been there 200 years. So I don't know that that's a valid concern. After 200 years, that in 5 to 10 years, we're going to suddenly have this, this big concern. They also suggested that building new homes would beautify the neighborhood, but I think probably, this is just my speculation, but that most people would think that this beautiful tree is going to be more beautiful than having, a greater concentration of housing, greater traffic problem on that tiny road, putting 6, 8 more cars there on that road when people already complain about that. I don't think that's really what we want for our community, is to have that. I think this tree probably is something that most people would value. We submitted a petition that indicates that there is strong support for keeping the tree. And then, we've already lost many large trees in the golf course that's been converted to development. Those trees were supposed to be saved, and they weren't. And so, those are gone. How many large trees can you think of when you walk around town and even see anymore? There's just not many. And so I think that, but I do understand, and another point too, in a majority minority city, right? I mean, environmental injustice in PG County, we have a really bad legacy. And so this, it's just one tree, but it also says a lot that we recognize that environmental injustice of decades, of what's happened in PG County and in the city, and that we want to change that dynamic. We want to see a different direction. We want to reverse that. And so this is an important symbolic vote, I think, to protect that. But at the same time, I understand there's financial concerns here, and so I think the city could potentially invest. If there is some sort of compensate this, right? We have a facade improvement grant, $50,000 to $100,000, whatever that amount is, to put new siding on on a building on Main Street. Why not put some of that money towards preserving our cultural heritage? Make that, reprogram that funding, that grant somehow, that money can be used to compensate landowners, so that it makes it a little bit easier for them to therefore make the decision to donate that land to the city, because at least they get partial compensation. So hopefully, those are decisions that can be at least considered.
Thank you. Okay, that's all the speakers on the list. So,
Mr. Chairman, I just had a question. The health of the tree is okay, correct?
Yeah.
There's no disease or anything of that nature to be worried about. Okay.
Great. So, again, based on that, the arborist's evaluation, we have to determine as a commission if it's a contributor to the historic district, and if it would cause serious impairment to the historic, architectural significance of the surrounding properties. And that's our main concern as a commission, as a board. With that being said, I would like to...
Mr. Chairman, I have one other question. Are we considering the tear down of the garage separate?
Right now, it's all as one.
approve one piece, can we not? And
We could amend.
you could amend the. A question I have is, do we think there's any possibility of pursuing or finding the donation acquisition question, in which case could we potentially table the demolition of the tree question so that that could be explored a little bit? Is that something that we could consider?
I mean, that's definitely something we'd have to talk with the administration, probably Parks and Rec on that. Yes.
You know, there's the, sorry?
Mr. Wong, I'm assuming that the sole purpose of you developing the property is to make money. You're not going to live on that street. You have no plans other than to develop that piece of property. Mm-hmm. 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 So the two houses that you've renovated, you've done a great job. I commend you for those. But your sole purpose is to make money off of the property, to develop it. So that's your main purpose for removing this tree and then putting a duplex on there and then to sell it. Yes, yes. I understand that. Yeah. Okay. So if you could broker a deal with the city to donate or maybe get a grant to purchase that section of that property, would that be something that you would be open to doing? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. So if we tabled this and you were able to have a conversation with the city, okay, all right. So with that being said, can I entertain a motion that we amend the agenda?
I had a comment first, if that's okay.
Certainly.
So I didn't, and in looking at the plot in your application and in driving by, I didn't really think the tree was in the center of the property, that it was sort of to one side. And it's not clear from the photograph, but I'm not sure what page it was. Is there any possibility of building one small house to the right of the tree and keeping the tree?
Could we get the applicant to go to the microphone, please, for television purposes? Thank you, sir.
Not a possibility.
It's not a possibility.
It's right in the center.
Okay.
Mr.
By
Chair?
that time you dug the footings, you would damage the root.
Yeah.
That's
The root could be all
all
over.
over, that's true.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve HDC 2022 for 25 Post Office Avenue only for the demolition of the detached garage on the property, and that consideration of the demolition of the walnut tree be tabled in order to enable the city and the owner to explore avenues where the property might be acquired otherwise.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it, but I think we need to include that we're also not approving the building of the duplex.
Well, I don't think that was part of the application. That's not
Oh,
part.
that's not part, okay.
That's not
It
part of the
seemed like it
application.
was.
No, it's just.
Okay,
Okay.
then I'll second that.
Okay. I have a motion from Ms. Lubinecki to amend the original application. And I have a second by Ms. McSeany. Would you please call the roll?
Ms. Lubinecki,
Yes.
Ms. McSeany,
Yes?
Councilmember Cole,
Yes.
Mr. Schweitzer,
Yes.
Ms. Frazier,
Yes.
Mr. Cocoon.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. So, Mr. Love, you'll be in contact with them? Okay. Moving on to the next agenda item, which is HDC 2022, 0088 for 595 Main Street. Cameron Manesh.
Cameron has
Cameron changed faces.
COVID.
Oh, okay, well.
So we do not want Cameron here
Thank you.
today.
No.
My name is Tanya Martin. I'm the property manager, and Cameron asked me to come on his behalf.
Okay. So he came, actually, the last meeting was virtual. He was there and he presented some signage, and we had some concerns about it. So he updated it.
Yeah.
I guess I would ask the commissioners if they have any questions or comment for the applicant.
The color zoomed in. My copy is black. You can tell.
I did bring a color.
I got one here. Thank you.
You make it a little bigger by any chance? There.
Here we go.
Yeah. But that's also. There you go. Right. Thank you.
So last meeting there was discussion on the colors. What do we think of these?
I think this is a significant improvement myself.
Yeah.
Yes. I think it's pretty much what we were asking.
All right.
All right. I'd like to move that we approve HDC 2022-088 for 595 Main Street.
I second that motion.
Okay. I have a motion from Ms. McSeany and a second by Ms. Frazier to approve HDC 2022. Would you please call the roll?
Ms. McSeany,
Yes.
Ms. Frazier,
Yes.
Councilmember Cole,
For this one, I can't tell the difference between the last submission and this submission because I'm colorblind, so I'm going to abstain.
Ms. Lubinecki,
Yes.
Mr. Schweitzer,
Yes.
Mr. Cocoon.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. You just want to stay up there? I think the next
The
agenda.
next one's you.
The next one's you also.
The next one's you.
Yeah.
He didn't tell me that part.
Unless you're here for 600 Main Street.
Yes.
Okay, so the next agenda item is HDC 2022-0104 for 600 Main Street.
Okay.
And you're proposing to do a color change on the building.
Okay.
Okay.
He didn't provide me an update, but I believe he was going with a white.
No, it was a
No,
gray.
gray.
Was it a gray?
I was hoping
It's
you
a
would bring-
light gray.
I was
Yeah, it
hoping
was
you
like a very pale gray.
you have a actual color. I mean, it was hard actually to tell what that really looked like.
That's it.
I know it's great. practice on this.
Which gray all the way to the
The
right?
wall
It is
color.
the agreeable gray. But it's very similar to this.
Right, but it's a gray. It's not what it is not the yellow.
It's not the yellow.
Okay.
What about the shutters? The shutters will be white. White?
on a very light gray.
It looks awfully close.
That's
I mean,
gonna,
in this photograph, oh, the interior photograph that was up before, the interior, I guess the walls were the agreeable gray, and there's crown molding that's white, and they're awfully close. You know, I don't,
you're not going to get any contrast. I mean, you're not going to get any contrast between
Yeah.
white shutters and that very light gray.
The second color that he was considering was a charcoal gray that would match the roof. That was similar to the roof.
I think with
And then the white.
I mean, that would make a more attractive.
yes.
So I personally would recommend that just from a
The
contrast.
charcoal gray.
Yes.
And
How
then we're doing the stairs as well in white.
Okay, the stairs are not part of this application, right?
No.
Isn't there a whole?
They were already approved.
I believe those were part of the facade grant that they went through.
Okay. Can I just can I ask Mr. Love a question which relates to the stairs? They're in several different formats at the moment. The spindles on all the stairs. Is the facade grant at least going to make them all uniform?
I believe they were. I can double check to see.
I mean,
whether
seriously,
they-
they're
yeah.
like 3 different styles.
They will be uniform.
Thank you.
I note that the shutters are not mentioned on the application.
We already approved the shutters.
Oh, in
Oh, okay.
charcoal?
I don't remember what color, but there was a big discussion about some windows, there were shutters, and we said that they didn't need shutters.
Right.
So we approved shutters. I don't remember
Oh.
the color we approved.
Right. Okay.
I would not have guessed white.
I know colors have been thrown back and forth a lot, so I know that it's the charcoal gray in discussion. The stairs are white, and I believe that the shutters were either white or a charcoal gray as well. But as you said, they're already approved. The stairs were already approved, but I'm not 100% on what was proposed, whether the light gray or the dark gray
So
for the actual siding.
So the question would be relating to the approval of the shutters, because if we approved the light gray, I mean the charcoal gray for the shutters on top of the light gray, that would work. In other words, if it's the contrast question that we're a little concerned on. So I'm not quite sure. You see what I'm saying? Is it
Right. Brooke, is it possible to find that easily?
I just brought that up.
Oh, thank you.
Looks like the window shutters the applicant is proposing to remove and replace existing brown shutters. New shutters will be made a black raised panel vinyl.
Okay.
so they're black?
And then it was the lighter
They're black.
gray.
Okay.
And then that's why the siding was proposed as the gray.
Light
The-
gray.
the
right.
light gray. Well, that's a whole different.
All right.
That's a whole
On that note, I move we approve HDC 2022-104 for 600 Main Street.
Right.
For
I'll second that.
whatever that, like, agreeable gray.
Right.
Okay. I have a motion from Ms. Feeney and a second by Ms. Lubinecki to approve the HDC 2022-0104 for 600 Main Street. Would you please call the roll?
Ms. McSeany?
Yes.
Ms. Lubinecki?
Yes.
Councilmember Cole?
Yes.
Ms. Frazier?
Yes.
Mr. Schweitzer?
Yes.
Mr. Cocoon?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay. HDC 2022-0103 for 516 Main Street. With the applicant. How you doing? Can you state your name for the record?
Good evening, Judy. My name is Kapil Gulati, and I am the new owner of 516 Main Street, Laurel Cork and Bottle Store.
Congratulations.
Thank
you. Okay, so you're asking for retroactive approval. You've already changed the sign.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you know you are in the historic district?
Yes, sir.
Anything that you do to the facade of your building, outside, exterior, planting trees or anything, You got to come before the commission to get
Yes,
approved.
sir. I didn't knew that, but now I know everything.
Okay. That being said, do you have any comments for the applicant? The only question I have, that sign, it's going to be lit now?
Yes.
It is
Actually,
lit.
the old sign was not in a proper shape. Like most of the things were broken. The lights were not working properly.
Right.
So as like
So it was previously lit.
yes, no, it was not previously. Now it lit more visible and more viable.
It is
Yeah.
very bright.
Yeah, and I have not changed any like signs or anything. I just changed the facing of it. No, like I didn't make it big or small. It is just like the way it was, but only the like
So-
the face of it.
Is it on all night?
Sorry.
Is it on in the nighttime?
Yes.
Yes,
Oh,
It ons in the night.
yes. I mean, it is very bright. As somebody who has been by in the wee hours of the morning a couple of times, it's hugely bright.
could it be on a timer?
It is on the timer. It's like same dawn and dusk. So it's like-
Okay, so when she means timer, off at 11, on at dusk, off at 11.
we can do that, and there is no problem. We can just do that. Like when we close the store, we can just turn off the lights.
Yes.
That would be
We close
excellent.
at 10. We can
That
close
would
the
be
lights. That is not a
fantastic.
problem. We can do that, and we can put it on the auto mode. So that way, like there is no chance of we forgot that. Just automatically, just when we turn off the lights, it automatically turns off.
Okay.
Fantastic.
With that being said, does the applicant need to get approval from the city, electrical inspection or anything for? Okay, that has not been done, I take it.
I don't think that has yet, but yeah, we'll make sure they get all those.
Okay.
You would need an
So you
electrical permit
should have pulled an electrical permit, gotten a permit from the city.
and sign
So
permit.
you'll have to talk to the city about what you're going to need as far as inspection.
We'll do
All that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, there are also lights in the windows that flash and are bright.
Yes, yes.
Those also need to be approved. All signage needs to be approved.
The lights don't need to
The
be
lights
approved?
don't need to be approved?
No, those aren't considered signs.
They're not. Okay.
But speaking of the signage, it seems that are we sure that the amount of text, signage, etc., in the windows is meeting our current requirements?
That we can check with code enforcement on,
Would you take a
on
look
the
at
on the
that?
number of that. But as far as the lighting around it, we've been told those aren't signs.
Yeah. But there does seem to be a
Okay.
bit of an excess of
Yeah.
signage in the window.
Is there a grandfather clause, or if signage was there before I know there's a lot of signage up there.
As long as they're not, if they're changing it constantly, then if it was anything that was a non-conforming has to stay there as a non-conforming. But if the signage is being changed, then that eliminates any sort of non-conforming use.
All right. Any further questions or comments, for the applicant? Can I entertain a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve HDC 2022-0103 for 516 Main Street with the condition that the light go on a timer.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. I have a motion by Councilman Cole and second by Mr. Schweitzer. So would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Cole,
Yes.
Mr. Schweitzer,
Yes.
Ms. McStaney,
Yes.
Ms. Frazier,
Yes.
Ms. Lubinecki,
Yes?
Mr. Cocoon.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Judy. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good evening. Okay, the next agenda item, HDC 2022-0110 for 339 Prince George Street. Good evening, Mr. Les.
Yes, sir.
evening. This is called Jim McSeany Window Project.
Oh.
We're replacing all the windows in the house. They're all being replaced with Douglas fir framed windows, sashes from Pella. We researched the various kinds of wooden windows available, Pella, Marvin, and there was 3 or 4 others. Turns out that Marvin now has fallen to second place behind Pella. And it has to do with supply chain issues. I'll get to the supply chain issue because it is a problem. So we went ahead and presented the window list. One thing that's noticeable is most of the windows are fairly tall because of the 9-foot ceilings in the house. So in looking at how we wanted to, currently there's 1/1 in the house. Some time ago, Marlene furnished to me a picture of the house. We think it was right after it was built, with 2/2. And then when we replaced the lower sashes in 77 with what's there now, it was 2/1. And in fact, I mean, it's all over the map with how many sashes on the top, how many splits there are, and how many on the bottom. Right across Marlene's house, there's a 3/1. Okay, so there's a lot of different types. So in deciding what we try and do, we decided to go back to the 2/1 that existed in 1977. And that had been replaced in, I think, 31 by the Armstrong family who bought the house from the doctor that built it. So as you'll notice, there all the windows except 2 will be a 2/1 sash. And the sash will be divided by wooden strips on the outside of the windows and the inside, and a spacer on the inside between the 2 pieces of glass. Nothing fancy about it, except the other key thing we had to consider was how much of the window space we take up in replacing the windows. So this contractor is going to remove everything back to the original framing of the window that was done in 1910. We'll lose about a 1/2 inch total, and we'll get it done. That brings me to my last issue. Originally, the house had wooden windows. In 1977, when we replaced them because the lower sash had rotted out again, we couldn't afford wooden windows. So we put some aluminum windows in. Have one whole aluminum window up in the attic to spare. We were going to bring it down, but my wife said, "Don't you dare." So when I presented this to the city, originally we thought it was going to be replacement in kind, but then I had to come to the HDC, and I don't object to that, except the delivery of the windows then changed in 2 forms. The cost went up, and the delivery of the windows will not be the end of May. They won't be till the end of July. Wow. So I'm going to make a recommendation to this Historic District Commission, and maybe the administration wants to take this back to mayor. You need to go back to 2 meetings a month. The supply chain impacts are unbelievable. Not just in this type of work, but actually building a house. Okay, so that's just my suggestion, not just a recommendation. So that's what we're looking for. The outside will be wide, it'll be clad on the outside because that's what we have now with the aluminum windows. The inside will be painted. It'll be white to start with. We'll see what happens over time. And that's the application.
Thank you.
I'd like to move that we approve HDC 2022-0110 for 339 Prince George Street as submitted.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion from Ms. McSeany and a second by Councilman Cole. Would you please call the roll?
Ms. McSeany?
Yes.
Councilmember Cole?
Yes.
Ms. Lubinecki?
Yes.
Ms. Frazier?
Yes.
Mr. Schweitzer?
Yes.
Mr. Cocoon?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Let me mention one other thing. told my wife not to say too much when I get up there. There were several large black walnut trees when the original survey was done in Laurel. One of them was on a nonprofit property that was taken apart, taken down. The other one was behind Dick Rice's house when they put the addition on the back of the house. One of the things I learned from both of those was they didn't just chop the tree down. They were looking how long a board could they get out of the stem of the tree, because it turns out it's very valuable. In both cases, they went ahead and cut the trees down. And I think in Dick Rice's house, they actually used a crane to get it over the house, if I remember correctly. And then they slabbed it and they dried it. In fact, some furniture in a nonprofit entity in the city is made from the tree that came out of that nonprofit property. I don't know whether there is a bigger or a larger black walnut in Laurel. There may be none. Now, that brings me to the lot. This lot is an undeveloped lot that's permitted to be subdivided into a duplex lot. My partner and I bought the Ballinger property next to Ballinger's, and that was zoned for a duplex also. And if any of you were around for that, we went through a rather protracted, anguishing application process. We actually had a designer design a duplex for that lot, which would have looked like Georgetown. And the neighbors didn't want it, so we built the house for Gromans, which came from a designer down in Atlanta. I always tell a story about Barbara Mikulski was walking by the house one day, and she said to Bill and Ellen Groman, "Boy, that's a nice renovation." Well, we made their day. Okay? Because that's the idea, is that you want to make sure that, maybe I didn't have that vision originally, the house needs to sit in with the neighborhood. This house, the value of the property that they're talking about, and I didn't want to say anything while the applicant was up here, is not today. The value of the property is tomorrow when they subdivide it and pay the development costs. Then each lot becomes worth about $100,000. You'll notice all of your property values, if you own property in the city, went up this last year. Went from $70,000 to $100,000. Has to do with development costs. Okay. So what I want to point out with the lot on Montgomery Street, by right, we could have put a duplex on it, but we didn't, because it wasn't the right thing for the lot. Maybe a duplex on this lot is not the right thing for this lot. It's talking about down at Post Office Avenue. And I don't know what the city can do, because the city is restrained in terms of dollars that they have to spend on open space money for property, which is how you buy parkland.
Mhm.
But I will guarantee you, they're not going to just chop that tree down. The owner's going to make some money off that tree, a lot of money. See, James is shaking his head. Yes, he knows what a black walnut tree is worth today. There's very few of them in the state of Maryland anymore. So in any event, whatever you do is going to be forever.
Right.
So again, I know that the Historic District Commission in the city will make the right decision. Again, I want to thank you very much for the approval, and we've got some other things coming too, so we'll be back again. Thank you.
We look forward to seeing you. Thanks for your comment, Black Walnut. Okay, and last but not least, HDC 2022 for 0105 for 708 Main Street. Hello.
Good evening, Chairman, fellow commissioners, and Councilmember Cole. I live at 708 Main Street. My name is Patricia Haig, and we want to remove an existing privet hedge and put up 2 levels of retaining walls with perennials and keep the crepe myrtle that's there and the sweet bay mag coming tonight for your answer any questions.
Any questions or comments for the applicant? I was reviewing it and,
I'm excited to see that hedge
exactly,
leave.
that's my words too.
That hedge has been torn in my side since I was probably 8 to 10 years old, because the house was my grandparents' house, and then I purchased it after my grandmother died from the estate.
Just side note, is Meadow Farms doing the work
Meadow
for you?
Farms is doing the work.
So they're going to supply the material and do the work?
Yes, yes. And hopefully, it's a very expensive project, but maybe at the end of this year or next year, we own the other side, so we will be doing the other side. And I think it's going to improve the streetscape of Main Street.
Yes. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve HDC 2022-0105 for 708 Main Street as submitted.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion from Ms. Lubinecki and a second by Ms. McSaney. Would you please call the roll?
Ms. Lubinecki?
Yes.
Ms. McSaney?
Yes.
Councilmember Cole?
Yes.
Ms. Frazier?
Yes.
Mr. Schweitzer?
Yes.
Mr. Cocoon?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good evening.
Look forward to it, seeing it.
Okay, staff approvals. I know we all reviewed them along the way. Any other questions or comments? Any new business? Motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.